What's up guys, Pop101 here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make custom damagers for your weapons for Blade and Sorcery, so let's get started. First off, we want to find a weapon that we want to add a custom damager to. So in this case, let's choose my Hiccup Sword. Now, let's say we want to do a slash damager. We want to go to damagers, and let's just take the regular sword slash. Copy it. You paste it in. Now let's rename it Hiccup slash. Copy it. Now I always try to keep this name right here the same as the ID. Now it doesn't necessarily need to be the same, but I'd recommend it just because it makes your life a little bit easier. Now, the main point of this is I'm going to be showing you how to make dismembering easier, because that's really the most important part. But as you can tell, when you go into the damager, you have the damage multiplier. So if you decrease this, it'll do less damage every time you slash an enemy. That said, if you increase it to something like 2, it will increase your damage every time you slash an enemy. The angles right here, it's basically just saying wider range for you to hit your enemy at based on the angle. So if we increase the angle to 360, and 360, it will be a lot easier to cut the enemies. And when combining this with our dismemberment min velocity, we get our instant dismemberment mod. So let's say we set it to 0. If you tap a limb, you will instantly chop it off. So with that, I will also suggest if you change those to be 360, you should change these angles to be 360 as well. Now it is named Hiccup Slash, so what you want to do is go into your Hiccup Sword. You want to scroll down to your damagers right here, and we named the ID Hiccup Slash, correct? So all we do is we change the damager ID right here from sword slash two hand to Hiccup Slash. Now notice sword slash two hand is the ID right here of what it originally was. So if we save it, now the Hiccup Sword will instantly dismember all enemies whenever slashing a limb cutoff point. Next up, we have our blunt. So what we can do is find a blunt damager. I like the mace two-hand because it already does a lot of knockback. But for this, let's paste it in. Let's name it something simple like Hiccup Blunt. Okay. Now that we have named it, what you want to do. In most cases, you can take a look at these. Same thing with the damage multiplier. The angles don't really matter as much for blunt, so I'd recommend keeping them the same. But what you want to look at is right here. So if it's set to knockout level 0, when you hit an enemy, they won't get knocked out. If it's set to 2, it will knock them out when hitting them. The add force is telling you when you hit an enemy how far they will be knocked back. So this is the base damager, but if it's set at something crazy like 1100, they will be sent flying back. That said, if you want to increase this, one thing that's really cool is you can add a force duration. So that its default is 0.2. But if we increase it to, let's say, 0.9, it will do damage over that time. It will do knockback over that time. So let's say we do 0.02. If we do this with such a low number, the second it hits the enemy, bam, it starts knocking them back already. And then if you want to change these, some other things you can change are the add force ragdoll part multiplier. So when hitting arms, legs, etc., just the knockback associated with that. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I'm guessing it also goes along with the part. And slow-mo multiplier. So if we change this to 10 times, we change this to being 10, and we change this back to being 0.2. You will only do the extra add force when it's in slow-mo. You can also change whether you want knockouts or not. It doesn't typically allow piercing because it's a blunt weapon. And a cool feature that I have not really experimented with is in a blunt damager itself, you can actually theoretically dismember with dismemberment mint velocity. So that's just another cool feature about it. But just like before, we named it Hiccup Blunt. So what we do is we go into our Hiccup Sword, and we change our Mace to Hand to Hiccup Blunt. Make sure that everything is tapped properly, and save. Last but not least, we have our Pierce Damagers. So if we go and we take our Sword Pierce, copy it again, paste it, let's rename it to Hiccup Pierce. Now for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be showing you some of the more simple features of this, because actually showing you how to increase the ability of the pierce, making it easier or more difficult when piercing things, is a little bit too in-depth for this video. But just like usual, we have our damage multiplier. Increase it or decrease it, whatever you'd like. And some cool features about it, you can also add force when you pierce somebody. So just like the blunt damager that we went over. If you'd like to pierce enemies easier, I believe it is related to the dampers in and out and the penetration damper, so you can play with those values until you get what you like. And the final thing I'd like to show you is with piercing, you can also technically dismember enemies. Just make sure to turn false to true. And just for those of you that don't know, notice that everything starts lowercase, because that's how it's named. What you want to do for true and false as well, keep it lowercase. Keep the T lowercase. If it's a capital T, it will not work. Same thing with the capital F. For false, it will not work. Now, that is the end for this video. So, if you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I'd greatly appreciate it. There is a link in the description to my Discord server if you want to learn how to mod, you want to get help modding, or you just want to hang out with members of the community in general. It's a whole lot of fun. If you'd like to support the channel and myself, there's also a link to my Patreon down in the description. With that, thank you for watching.